Okay, everybody, let's get into my budget for the first week of September. I have had so many changes over the last couple of months, and knowing that this written plan for my money is in place just keeps me from becoming completely and massively stressed out. And this happens to everybody, right? We fall off a little bit. We lose track sometimes, and it can happen out of nowhere. Maybe we just missed a few days off of work, or we went a little crazy with the groceries this past week, or we've had to add another expense to our bills. Who knows? But any little thing can just make us feel like it is completely hopeless and we can never get our budget back. But that is not true. I want you guys to not make a big deal about it. Just do your best and you will return to some sense of normalcy. Just take it paycheck by paycheck. And each time you'll do a little bit more and a little bit more. And I say this all the time. In the end anyway, no budget is ever going to be perfect. So whatever you are doing, it's always going to be better than what you are not doing. So let's check out and see what I am doing. Okay, so we left off my last video needing to fill out the budget sheet and the cash planning sheet. Now, I am a cash budgeter. I have been for over 3 years now, so you will see what that means as we go along. But first, I want to go ahead and add some spending that we've done since the last check-in. We had a couple more days left in August, so I want to keep all of that here on my August spending tracker. And honestly, we did not have a lot. We had the long holiday weekend and we stayed home where everything is free. Yay! So let's go ahead and write down the little bit of spending that we did after I filmed this video. Okay, so what we've had is we got some gas. That was $77. We went to the convenience store. Jason grabbed some beer and some ice. That was $21. And then I spent some money on Amazon for some new budgeting items, and that was $80. So the August tracking is completely done, and that is a very good feeling. To me, tracking this spending and then doing this part, which is controlling what is left after my bills have been paid, the retirement, the insurance, whatever it is that we have coming out of our checks, right? Once all of those top priority things are paid and out of your way, the money that is left, and I had $625 this past week, I am now going to take the time to decide where all of this is going to go. And if you're new, I call this working for myself because it is a bit of a job, right? A job that no one wants to do. We would much rather say to ourselves, hey, my bills are paid. I'm all good, right? The hard part's done. I went to work. I made the money that I needed to pay, and I paid my housing and my utilities, and I've got food in my fridge. And of course, I am responsible enough to not blow what I have left over right here. Then 3 days later, we look at our online checking and we see that we have a whopping $82 left. So yeah, that used to happen to me a lot. And then things like credit cards start getting whipped out, and no one wants that. So now I choose to do what I call working for myself. And I call it this because I am getting paid to do this job. Every time that I am not losing track of or mindlessly spending any part of our income, whether it's $20 or $625, I am getting paid, right? So let's go ahead and do that with my last paycheck of August. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And here's where I'm going to make sure that I don't lose track or mindlessly spend my $625. I do not want to be left with $82 in my checking account, right, in a few days. So let's go ahead and fill this out. Okay, now let's take a look at what I've got going on here. How I do this is fairly simple. I take the $625 that I've started with, and you'll have to excuse my calculator. I accidentally stepped on it last night. It's still working, as you can see, so I'm happy about that, but I did order a new one from Amazon, unfortunately. Anyway, so I've got my $6.25 in the calculator. The first thing I do is subtract the groceries. That is the biggest variable expense that I have, and obviously we have to eat, so I always start with that. So we're going to subtract the $150, and that now leaves me with $4.75. And then I'm going to go ahead and go down here. These are my two more important sinking funds. These are actual bills. So we're going to subtract the $157, and now we're down to $318. So now I'm going to come over here, and these are my other variable expenses. This is my little sweet baby Uhtred. I've got household, two sister B expenses, health, and toiletries. So let's subtract all of these. Okay, so now that leaves me with $193, which that $193 that's left is going to come up here, and that's how much I'm going to have to put into my savings challenges. So $193 this week of this money is going to go into that. Now this budget sheet, as you can see, I'm not using it necessarily the way that it's been laid out. Just use the budget sheet any way you want to, any way that makes sense to you. And this is how it makes sense to me. So that's how I do it. But again, make it your own. Now, does that mean that every single time I do this, that's exactly how it's all going to pan out? No. But sometimes it does. Sometimes it actually does all work out. But if it doesn't, and I have to move money between categories, guess what? It's not a big deal, because at least I know two very important things. Which two categories? Because I have actual categories with money in them. And that's the important part. Okay, so next up is going to be filling out this cash planning sheet. As I said earlier, I am a cash budgeter, and this is just to basically make sure that I do not overspend on any of these categories. I'm just simply going to use cash. Cash is the only form of payment that we have that is completely transparent, and more importantly, it's final, right? There are no terms, no interest, no repayment plans when you're dealing with cash. And this has worked really well for me for over 3 years, you guys. I have never stuck with any other way of budgeting as long as I have stuck with the cash method. And the cash part is for all of these things here that you're seeing on this budget sheet. So all of these things, these are the things that typically throw us off of our budget, right? I cash budget for those. So I'm going to fill this out, and then I'm going to explain it to you. So don't worry. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's start with the groceries at the top. I've got $150 that I need in cash for my groceries. So what I do is I get 5 20s and one $50 bill for my $150. So I'm going to finish out and fill out the rest. Okay, and we just do the same thing. We've got $40 here. I need 2 20s for $15. I got a 10 and a 5. Pretty simple. Down here for the savings challenges, the $193 that we see here that I'm going to be using for all of those categories. Those I just do my best guess of the denominations that I'll need for that. So that is just pretty much what I think I'm going to need to be playing those savings challenges. So now we're going to take each column and we're going to write down here at the bottom how many of each one we're going to need. So with the 50s, I need 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we've got their totals down here after that. So let's add that up and make sure that we've got $625. And we do. All $625 has been accounted for. So now I need to get this money from the bank. So I'm going to fill out this teller slip, this cash withdrawal, so I can get these exact amounts that I wrote down here from the bank. So here it is. It's all ready to go. I just hand this to the teller and she's going to give me everything I need for my cash envelopes. Now, does all of this take time? Yes, it does. But when you are doing it, you're not going to be filming it and explaining it all out loud. So this process is going to go a lot faster for you. And of course, just like anything else, it does get easier the more you do it. Work for yourself. You will be glad that you did. Okay, now I have decided to start showing the next part of my budget again, which is the cash part, but I'm going to be doing it on a new channel, which I have linked in the description below for you. And over there, you're gonna see all of the binders with all of the cash envelopes for my expenses, all the savings challenges for my sinking funds, and how all of that works. So yes, there is a whole other part to doing this. I'm going to be sharing just a more personal side of myself and a lot more fun side of saving money. If you are already a cash budgeter or you're just curious about how all of this works, I would love to have you over on the new channel. The first video will be posted in just a few days, so make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you'll know when it's up. And in the meantime, click here and see what YouTube has picked out for you. You're probably going to like it because the algorithm has you all figured out. And I will see you next time.